John, good morning.
Hey, good night, everyone, or good morning.
Yeah, good afternoon if you prefer.
Yeah, whatever. My question is for Mina, the European expert, and I'm going to keep my question nice and short after the previous caller.
Yeah, that's funny.
What league in Europe has had the most value added this summer in terms of transfers?
Good question.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. What league in Europe has had the most value added this summer in terms of transfers?
Oh, this is going to sound like a cliche, but I'm going to have to say Serie A. I mean, you could also say the Bundesliga and giving that a chance. Sorry?
That's a surprise.
Well, I know it sounds like I'm just saying that because obviously of my support for them. But think about it. We're talking about a league that everyone says is going down, right? And yet they've managed to get world-class players coming in the likes of Mario Gomez. Over everything else, over every other offer, he chose Fiorentina. That's quite big for 15.5 million euros. And then we're talking about Carlos Tevez moving there. Benitez has now come in, a coach, and they've bought in Higuain for 37 million. Of course, other than Serie A, it would have to be Liga, just because of what Monaco has managed to do, and James Rodriguez, Falcao, just to name two. But I think, if anything, the others are losing their talent. But those two leagues, as well as the Bundesliga, I still don't think the Bundesliga stayed level because they've sold talent, they've bought talent in. So for me, it's about level right now with them. Of course, Borussia Dortmund has enhanced properly, and Barcelona's Thiago went over to Bayern. But there's no that much value added. It's almost what you expect for them. But Serie A was considered a league that was losing all its stars, and with Cavani going, it was a case of there's not going to be any left. But now there's Balotelli, there's all these top strikers coming in, and people are choosing to go there because there's money. There's Fiorentina money, there's Napoli money, there's Inter money, and there's, of course, Juve. So I think as leagues go, other than PSG and Monaco and Liga, they're probably the rising ones.
But, John, you're not so sure. Who would you say? Which league would you say?
Yeah.
No, I think she got it spot on. I was just teasing her. Now, I have a question. I have a friend here, my friend Graeme. He would like to ask a sub-question. Would that be possible by chance?
Hang on a second. What is this? Is this musical chairs? Okay, go on. As you're calling from Ontario, we'll allow it this one time. Go on, then.
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, actually. This is Graeme speaking. Yeah, Don, I think this is a bit of a legal loophole to the sub-question, bringing in a friend. So you might want to close that one.
It's going to end up in a Brazil shirt name, you know that.
Anyway, Tim, my question is for you. It's a pleasure to speak to you. I was watching the Copa Libertadores final, and it was wonderful to see the passion of the Mineiro fans after the final whistle, them all crying. And the question, of course, that sprang to mind is a very logical and mathematical question that I wanted to ask you for a while, regarding how are the teams decided in the Copa Libertadores. I know in Europe, for the Champions League, there's a complex system of coefficients and ratios that determine points. In the Libertadores, how exactly does that work? Is there a similar system?
No, it's much, much more simple. Brazil and Argentina get a few more than everyone else. Everyone gets 4. Brazil and Argentina get 6 plus the holder. So it's very, very simple. And I suppose it's probably fair enough. I just want to talk a little bit about, because I was there in the stadium for that final. I don't think I've ever seen an atmosphere like it. And the backdrop to this is Atletico Mineiro hadn't won a major title since 1971. They'd won state championships and a few kind of League Cup type things, but not a major title. So the generations that have grown up thinking that they're jinxed, that they're never going to do it. They're always going to be nearly men. And I tell you, I was in the press box, but near the supporters, there were plenty of people there who just couldn't cope with it. They just couldn't cope. There were people who spent the 90 minutes plus the 30 minutes extra time plus the penalty shootout on their knees praying. There were people who were just in floods of tears during the game because they just couldn't cope with the emotion. And the noise when Olympia of Paraguay, when they missed the decisive penalty, and the title was decided, the noise was like an aeroplane taking off. And 10 minutes later, the noise level hadn't dropped at all. And I was deaf for a few hours afterwards. It was an extraordinary atmosphere. It was a great occasion to be there. If I can just pass back to Mina on the first question, can you explain, because it was a surprise to me, why Higuain chose Napoli over Arsenal?
He didn't really, if that makes sense. He really did want to move to Arsenal. It's just that they didn't want to pay the amount that Real Madrid was asking for. Ideally, his first choice, and he did come out and say this quite a lot, was Juventus, simply because they had offered him the opportunity to be the man. That, you know, they're going for the Champions League. They have good relations with Real Madrid. They promised him that he would be the man that they build their team around, that he would be the main focus point, and he was excited about playing alongside Fernando Llorente, and he came out and said that. Unfortunately, they were never willing to go above a certain amount for him. Juventus is somewhat stingy with their money. Then came in Arsenal, and again, it's another team that it's good. It has talent in every key area, but perhaps what they're missing is a really great striker. So with that, Higuain felt that he was going to be the number one man in Arsenal, and he liked that idea, so he was holding out for that. When Napoli came in, according to Spanish press, he wasn't that thrilled about the prospect, which I found actually quite strange, because if I am Higuain, I'd rather go to Napoli, simply because it is Rafa Benitez, it's a Spanish coach, as well as the fact that there's, Albiol there now, Callejon, it's players who were with him, who know him very well, so there's more chance of him sort of settling in easier than he would do had he moved to Arsenal. But according to the Spanish press, he wanted to sort of wait and see whether Arsenal were going to come back and bid the same amount as Napoli. Of course, they've decided to now go for Luis Suarez, so that never happened. But Napoli wasn't really on his mind, and you could see that because when he did finally move there, when he went for his medical, he did put a picture up, and he specifically said, happy to be here, because it was almost like he was accused of not actually wanting to go there, because I think deep down inside, he didn't. Ultimately, he should have stayed at Real Madrid, because more than anything, Ancelotti is he's a very keen admirer of his talents, and he really wanted him to stay, tried to speak to him so many times, but with the father that Higuain has, he was always going to move.
Yeah, 500 909 693. And thanks very much for the calls, guys in Ontario. Thanks very much for that. Appreciate it. It takes Canadians to liven up this program. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Great. And hopefully we'll get calls from